be starting pretty much right away. Thank you, everyone, for joining us live today for today's session, Earth Day. Not only is April 22nd Earth Day, it's also my daughter's birthday. So she's not going to watch this, but she'll probably hate me for mentioning it because that's what 15-year-old daughters do. Presented by the CSE, we are pleased to have 4 companies and 1 guest moderator today. Keith Driver, CEO at EarthRenew, Inc., Ashish Malik, President and CEO of B Vectoring, Colin Bletsky, COO, MustGrow Biologics, Corp, and Hanspaul Pannu, CFO, Sharc International Systems. We are honored to have Brad Farquhar as the CFO from Input Capital as our guest moderator for the Q&A session, and this represents today's lineup. Our objective in running today's Earth Day special is trifold. First is for companies to gain visibility and traction on an accessible platform. The second is to inform capital markets participants and players and investors about the types of companies in the Earth-related space. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and all of those good green things. While the third also providing knowledge of what is happening. As for the attendees, we do ask that you share ideas, leads, and feedback with our presenters. Possibly some funding after due diligence, a referral of someone with unique applicable expertise, and maybe even a potential strategic relationship. You can find their contact information in the profile box. I think that's to the right. I'm not giving any management advice because the experts are all here. And please don't treat our presenting companies as marketing targets for services. Housekeeping matters. If images aren't clear or your pictures are incomplete, check your bandwidth, refresh your screen, call your IT. I'm speaking a little quickly because we have a lot of content to get through. Each presentation will be about 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Hard stop at 7. They know it, I know it, and I'm also going to cut down on reading their bios. Brief disclaimer, this presentation is for information purposes only and is not a solicitation to make an investment in shares or debt or buy and sell stock. CSE and Barrington Miller, as session host, i.e. yours truly, make no representations about any of these companies. If you're interested in the investor pitch, please connect with the companies directly in order to get detailed information. As mentioned, they'll talk for 6 minutes and 30 seconds. They'll see my face, and then it'll be time to wrap up. As well, we have people in the audience from the CSE. I know Phil is here, Anil's here, James Black is around. These people are resources. Connect with them. As well, ask questions with the other participants. The only way you can interact with somebody is if you accept their invite for conversation. So make sure you're checking your messages. And again, we encourage you to ask questions yourselves. There's a question box marker on the right-hand side. You can either put it in there or in the chat. All right. Let's move on to our presenters. First one, Keith Driver, CEO at EarthRenew. Keith serves as CEO and president, the leading platform of organic and regenerative agricultural crop outputs. EarthRenew brings together this passion for agriculture and sustainability. Mr. Driver holds 2 degrees in engineering from the University of Guelph and an MBA from the University of Calgary. He has also served as a sessional instructor at both of his alma maters. Without further ado, Keith Driver. Oh, Keith, you're on mute.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And it says that I'm sharing my screen, but I have no way of telling if that's true. So I'll go with hope and pray that it is up for everybody to see at the moment, and hopefully someone will be kind enough to let me know if it's not. EarthRenew is in the middle of an acquisition right now. We'll be closing shortly with a company called Replenish Nutrients. We are the leading platform for regenerative and organic crop inputs. We upcycle nutrients and turn them into high-value fertilizers that are available for conventional farmers.
Sorry to interrupt, Keith. I cannot see your presentation, just so you know.
Thank you. I'll stop sharing. Barrington, I'll give up the coveted first spot, and I'll log off and log back in and see if I can't reset on my side.
Okay, that's no problem. Mr. Malik, you will be up, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's good with me.
All right, let's. Let's go. Mr. Malik is president and CEO of Bee Vectoring Technologies, a company developing a disruptive new sustainable crop production tool that improves crop yields and quality. Prior to BVT, he was VP of Global Marketing for Biologics at Bayer Crop Science, where he was responsible for managing the portfolio of biological assets for the company and advancing the strategy to develop integrated crop solutions. That, and he is also in my hometown of Mississauga, Ontario. I'm turning it over to Mr. Malik.
Great, thanks to Barrington. Can you see my slide here?
Yes, we can see your slide.
Okay, good, and you can hear me okay. Well, happy Earth Day to everybody. I'm really excited to be able to share an update about Bee Vectoring Technologies. And, okay, the screen is not advancing. There we go. Nope. How do I move? There we are. Okay. So BVT is a company that's also in the ag tech space. And what we're doing is we're developing a sustainable tool which will change how farmers grow their crops. We've been able to demonstrate that by using biological crop protection agents with an all-natural delivery system. A farmer can greatly reduce the amount of chemicals that they're using on their farm by as much as 98%, while at the same time producing an extremely marketable yield, which has very low chemical inputs and higher yields as well. The best thing, since we're talking about Earth Day, is that this does not rely on any heavy machinery, no water is used, it relies 100% on the natural pollination process of bees. The way the system works is we have our biological control agent that resides inside or adjacent to a commercial beehive. And as the bees are leaving their hive, they walk across the powder, which picks up the biological product, and they fly with that product to the crop. They deliver that to the flower of the crop, and through that process, they protect that crop against different diseases and in the future, as well as different insect pressures. We've been now been selling the system for 2 full seasons. We've demonstrated that by using the system, we can apply or get the same disease control that the farmer would want by applying 1/200th of the amount of an active ingredient than they would normally apply if they were to spray during the course of that same season. And oh, by the way, the product that they're delivering is 100% safe. It's a biological product. So you can actually see the power of the natural precision agriculture tool that we're developing. We have 2 systems that work, or the system comprises 2 dispensing systems that work with commercial bumblebee hives as well as with commercial honeybee hives. And the reason it's important to have both is that we can therefore help farmers across a greater variety of crops. And then we have our proprietary biological control agent, which is a fungus, a beneficial fungus that is now fully registered in the U.S. with the Environmental Protection Agency, with the EPA. It has full organic certification. And the combination of the product and the dispenser systems have now got over 60 patents worldwide and another so that are still in patent pending stage. The number of crops that we can help are many. We are focusing initially in the berry crops, but we've also started doing work in tree nuts. Almonds, for example, is the single biggest market opportunity where honey is being used. It's the single biggest market opportunity for us in California. And then oilseed crops like canola, sunflowers, and then tree fruits, apples, peaches, stone fruit, as well as vegetables are all crops where we have an opportunity for delivering the benefit of our system. This slide shows a typical adoption. It's about a 3 or 4 year cycle with farmers where they will initially, test our product, and then they'll buy it on a small percentage of their acres before progressing to a greater percentage. This is a journey with a major blueberry grower in Georgia, where now they're using our system on 100% of their crops. We have many different markets across the U.S. that have progressed through all the way from an awareness stage to an expansion stage, such as in Georgia. And as we go through this growth from one year to the next, you can start seeing that the adoption increases from 1 or 2 growers to a point where, in 2021, there were 24 growers in Georgia that were using our system. As a company, we are in full commercial launch phase. We're looking forward to the next stage, which would be expansion, where we go for global expansion. And ultimately, the opportunity for BDT is to be a key player in a multi-billion-dollar market opportunity through a proprietary and scalable platform. We're also engaging with many partners, and we're actively looking to announce, we hope, some deals during the course of 2021. Back to you, Barrington.
Well, thank you. And we made up some time there. Our audience, I already mentioned that we have Anil Mall, based in Vancouver from the CSE, as well as Phil Shum. Don't forget about Mr. Scott Pritchard from La Belle Province and Mr. Mark Francis, who is, and doesn't like me saying this, but basically we're here because of him. This was his brainchild and such. We're going to move on to Colin Bletsky, COO and Director of MustGrow. How you doing, Colin? Oh, you're on mute. Don't forget.
Sorry.
Nope, don't forget to take it off. Colin Bletsky grew up in eastern Saskatchewan on a third-generation family farm, growing canola, oats, and wheat, a tradition he and his family continue each year during the seeding and harvest. Today, the majority of Colin's time is spent helping farmers grow sustainable food, both locally and globally. He is currently serving as the Chief Operating Officer of MustGrow Biologics Corp, where he is responsible for helping growers produce pest-free crops utilizing natural, science-based technologies. In addition to the 3 decades of agricultural business experience, he holds a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture from the University of Saskatchewan, executive education from both the London School of Business and INSEAD, and was a certified crop advisor. Without further ado, I'm turning it over to Colin.
Thanks, Barrington, and thanks for having me again. So I'd like to introduce everybody to MustGrow. We are an ag biotech company based out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, so the heart of agriculture and innovation, I believe, in Canada as well as North America and the world. And we are a ag biotech company focusing on the natural food-grade production of organic technologies that are very efficacious in controlling disease, pests, and weeds. And our technology is based off the food-grade mustard plants and mustard seed. So our company, we have a very experienced and diverse management team. We are based on a sustainable and very disruptive innovation side. And our technology is plant-based, and we do have 2 ways and 2 different products that we extract out of mustard that are very efficacious in controlling these pests. A big area that we're really excited about is the positive impact we have on soil health and the essentially the environment. And this is something where we're very excited about how we impact the soil microbiome and the benefits in the soil. And when you think, myself as a farmer, soil is so important and one of my key assets. It's an area that I'm really proud about what our organization has been able to do. Our goal and is the potential ability to replace some of the banned synthetic chemicals that are being used specifically in the early pre-plant stage of the production cycle, as well as in the post-harvest and food preservation side. And our technology, it's patented. We have multiple patents around the world. It's 100% owned. And we've invested a lot of money and done over 110 independent studies, field scale studies with multiple groups right across North America, and now expanding right around the globe. And our technology has a true potential to be used in potential applications in many different markets. We do this with a very tight cap structure. We're roughly just under 43 million shares outstanding. 19% is owned by management and insiders, and we do have enough cash on hand to really execute and get us to that first revenue stage and really into our key drivers. So when you look at why we're so excited and why we're looking at this marketplace, everybody knows this. Chemicals are being deregistered. There's a lot of things going on. Populations improving and increasing. There's still a lot of people who are going malnourished and hungry. And this is all in the same time when ag chem companies and a lot of chemicals are getting a lot of pressure on them. And as a farmer, I still have to use a lot of synthetic chemicals on my farm, and they're still needed to be able to produce produce a crop to feed this population. Where we're so excited and why we're focused on this is our technology, and what we've been able to prove in field is we have the same efficacy as similar synthetic chemicals. And we do have this potential in many different markets. So when we look at this and how we look at this is, if chemicals are being removed out of the system, how are we going to produce enough food to feed the world? And we need to be innovative as a industry, and I believe we are within our organization really driving what we need to do in agriculture. Our technology is a little bit different than typical biologicals that are on the marketplace today and in the ones we're targeting. We have a very safe profile, just like all the other biologics on the marketplace, but we still have the same efficacy of chemistry. And if you look to why biological products have not really had a big impact in the marketplace to date, it's been around the efficacy. And that's one thing that we really take and utilize our technology for and drive it. It's very effective. We've proven this in field, going head to head versus synthetic chemicals that we're targeting. Our technology is very flexible. It can go through the same systems that growers are using. So there's no ways that growers have to change and do something different. It's safe, not only to the user, consumer, but also to the environment. It's organic, so it's based from organic production. It's efficient. And what I mean by this, it's as efficient and more efficient than what cover cropping and mustard cover cropping is done. And where it's big is economical. We can go in and potentially price this at the same price point with versus synthetic chemicals. So what we've done is actually taken away all the barriers that a typical grower and farmer would have anywhere in the world, and now give them another option to be able to go and replace those synthetic chemicals with something that's organic, natural, and safe for the environment. And this is something, like I said, I'm very proud of, is we do have data showing the positive health on soil as well as the environment. Our technology is able to return organic matter back to the soil. It dissipates in the soil very quickly, and this way avoids some of the long-term negative impacts on the soil microbiome. And because of this, we are seeing a positive impact on yield and soil health down the line. And if you look at some of the chemistries we're trying to replace, these are the ones that are having a negative impact on soil health, soil microbiome, groundwater, and potentially other areas. So when you think of being able to produce healthy crops, a healthy crop is known to be able to take out more carbon out of the atmosphere. It's something that we're really proud of on the soil side of things. The other area that we're working on is our technology can be used potentially in multiple different markets at different stages. And we're really focused first and foremost on the pre-plant soil applications. So unlike what Ashish and bee vectoring is doing, we're targeting an earlier stage of the cycle and really going after the disease, nematodes, and weed control. And one of the key areas that we're actually seeing benefits on are on hard to kill diseases or diseases that there are no chemical controls for to date. And a big one that we're targeting is the fusarium wilt TR4 in bananas. And this disease has impacted the banana industry to an extremely large extent, and essentially has wiped out one whole variety of bananas so far, and potentially could impact another big variety. The second area is looking at a key bioherbicide product. So if you think of the opportunity potentially to impact, replace, or complement something like glyphosate or Roundup, we are working on a molecule that is working in this field and having those synthetic events as well. And the last area is in the post-harvest side. And this is something where we've been able to in-license patents, sign some partnerships with key groups, and really driving now the technology into areas of sprout control where chemicals are being banned, and into areas where there's chemicals not being used today, looking at mycotoxin control, looking in food systems on disease and shipping, and also looking at the post-harvest and food-borne pathogens. You know, you think of E. coli, Salmonella, Listeria. Some of the recalls have been happening over the number of years.
20 seconds.
We are going to be starting to look at that area as well. And like I said, we do this all with a tight cap structure and in a small organization. And yeah, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Colin. And like I explained to our speakers, not being rude, just in the essence of time. A special shout out to our guests and visitors from Germany. It seems like we have a lot in the audience, so Guten Tag to you, and glad this is reaching out. Keith has indicated that he is ready and things are a go, so I'm going to turn it back to the original first speaker, which is Mr. Keith Driver, serves as President and CEO of EarthRenew, leading platform for organic and regenerative agricultural crop inputs. Keith, why don't we just jump right into it?
Absolutely. And just going to confirm that the slides are up at this point?
Yes, we see the slides.
Excellent. Technology 0, Keith 1 today. So jumping back to where we were, EarthRenew's focus is to build crop inputs for the regenerative and organic sector that are priced competitively with for conventional farmers, that handle like products conventional farmers look like. So we do that by upcycling organic nutrients as the base, so building carbon back into the soil. We then blend that with byproducts from traditional agricultural input providers to make sure that our nutrient values are high, and we granulate that in a form that can be used by the producer, and then we market and distribute those right now across Western Canada, now into Montana and North Dakota. So we're building this leading platform for regenerative and organic crop inputs, and that's important because when you think about the difference between conventional farming and regenerative and organic farming, the difference is, conventional farming is feed the plant to grow the plant. And regenerative farming, and even more towards organic, is feed the soil to grow the plant, sorry. So we're focused on products that enhance the soil, much the same as Colin was speaking about making the soils and the plants more resilient. You get more carbon, you sequester more carbon in the soil, you get a more productive crop, and the plants become naturally resilient because they're in a better growing medium. So we're approaching this market from the regenerative organic side. All our products are certified organic, but we price them relative to conventional. And so we're competing back into the conventional space with the same attributes as the regenerative and organic side coming from, and our competitors are doing it the other way. The large players like a Mosaic or a Nutrien are coming from conventional and trying to push. All they talk about now is how they're moving into this regenerative space. And I think it's a good movement. We see things like Cargill, General Mills, PepsiCo put out a big announcement yesterday, Wendy's as well, about how they're pushing for regenerative agriculture. The challenge is regenerative agriculture is more of a philosophy than it is necessarily certified like organic. And so we're seeing early days, but our products we know work because we take the ingredients that farmers are used to, the bioactives, the inoculants, the macros, the micros that they're used to, combine it with organic matter and turn it into a family of products that have real agronomic benefit, that are direct substitutes for products they would already be using. And we've got a family of 5 products that we have at this point. We're including biochar in one for water retention in soil, and we're looking at one with frass. Insect frass has been shown to have some biopesticidal, biostimulant benefits, but we're well behind Colin in terms of our understanding of that space. But we definitely see the importance of what Colin's doing and see them as quite additive. Our underlying technology platform is to use waste heat, grab waste heat from electricity generation and use that to thermally treat the ingredients and make them available without degrading them. We then upgrade those by taking the CO2 and putting it back into our product, and then we blend and granulate with other byproducts. And that's the 1940s technology. Combine things, mix it, put it in a granule in a form that's got the properties that a farmer can store, handle, deploy without slowing them down at the particularly busy times of pre-harvest or pre-seeding and post-harvest. We have 2 facilities at the present, puts us in the range of about 40,000 tons per year, which is important because our margin on those tons is similar to that of a conventional fertilizer manufacturer in the 30% range, about $100 a ton. And our growth plan is to move very quickly to 400,000 tons a year. We're very much in growth mode, and I'll explain a little bit of how we're going to get there, but it's really about deploying production capacity at this point. We're sold out for the year, and we need to be able to increase our production capacity. So we're really at that point where we've got traction. With the Replenish acquisition, which I mentioned is pending, should close in the next short while here, as we've been updating shareholders through press releases. That's going to put us into EBITDA positive as an organization. That's going to be a big we've got the sort of 8-figure, $10 million worth of revenue number coming from our core products, and we're looking to grow that. These projections are just replenish, no additional capacity, and a standalone EarthRenew facility. And we're looking forward to the day when this transaction is done and I can put a combined financials up on the screen for everybody to see how the combined entity leverages the additional value of being able to pre-process our own products and put those into products that are already going to market. We have an experienced management team, bringing together the team from Replenish, Neil, Gerard, and Kevin. I've known them for about a decade. Kevin was actually one of the original employees of EarthRenew when in its original form about 10 years ago. And so we're really bringing the band back together here with revenue and the products proven in the marketplace, and really poised for growth on the basis of that team. Board in place, independent board members, currently recruiting someone to help us with our U.S. expansion, really looking for someone with deep ag U.S. Retail experience to help us expand into those markets, ideally over the next coming months. So that's the opening there on the left. And with that, I'll hand back my time. Thank you very much, Barrington.
No, thank you. And for our panelists, I know there's a couple questions that are coming in. There's one for Colin. So if you have a chance, you might be able to answer it, while the next presenter is going. So just for you to keep an eye on. Last but not least, Mr. Hansu, how are you doing?
Sorry, pretty well, thanks,
Hanspaul, Pannu. How are you doing?
Pretty well. Thanks for the introduction there, Barrington.
I think this is our first time actually meeting and talking.
Yeah, I think it is. This is I've definitely seen your name many times in your face a lot, so it's a great time to finally meet.
So our audience, a little bit about Mr. Pannu. He is with Sharc Energy, SHRC, if you're looking it up, since late 2017, and is CFO since July 2018. Within his role at Sharc Energy, Hanspaul manages the admin, finance, legal, and investor relations for the company. His personal values and interests strongly align with Sharc Energy's. He is passionate about climate action, very appropriate for Earth Day, and understands the significant challenges ahead to meet the time-sensitive goals needed to mitigate and reverse the effects of carbon pollution. Mr. Pannu, take it away.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen here. And please confirm once, I guess you guys can see my screen. Yes?
It is confirmed.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm here today to introduce to you Sharc Energy, and Sharc stands for Sewage Heat Recovery. Sorry. So Sharc Energy is reinventing how the world looks at wastewater. We provide users of our solutions the opportunity to use wastewater for the purposes of creating low carbon and energy efficient heating and cooling, with a primary focus on hot water production. In using wastewater for thermal energy exchange, Sharc Energy Systems provides the following opportunities through wastewater. We can significantly reduce the carbon emissions from current hot water production or space heating processes. We can provide operational savings through decreased utility bills, carbon tax, and maintenance costs paid. And we also provide fresh water savings in cooling towers and improved efficiencies to cooling processes. We are a Port Coquitlam, British Columbia-based organization that has nearly 25 installations or installations completed or in process globally. In this following video that I have here, Lynn Mueller, the co-founder and CEO of Sharc Energy, will discuss the power of wastewater and its potential impact.
Every day when you do your laundry, have your shower, wash your dishes, all that warm water goes down the drain. That's 938 trillion liters of water a year that goes down the drains. That's all been heated about 30 degrees. Well, Sharc has designed a system that cleans that water flow, and we're able to put that warm water through a very, very efficient electric heat pump and recover the energy at phenomenal efficiencies. When you put a Sharc system in your building or your district, you know that you're going to save money, you're going to reduce your carbon footprint, you're going to reuse all of the energy you can every day, and you're going to give your people energy security for the future. 10 years ago when I started, nobody had heard of sewage heat recovery. Now every city in the world has this on their list of things they want to investigate doing. What Sharc has done is taken a local solution and we've taken it and applied it to a huge global problem. Why would you throw away half the energy of the world when you can reuse
it? Lynn summarizes the opportunity of wastewater perfectly there. Why throw away half the world's energy when we can reuse it? And that's what Sharc's doing. On this slide here, what's clear is that we are well positioned to take advantage of the market. My apologies, sorry. We're well positioned to take advantage of the market that's ahead of us. Climate action and emergency climate action plans are being enacted daily, by cities, it seems daily. As you can see here, here's 3 cities that have outlawed either natural gas or put into place a climate emergency action plan that specifically addresses reducing the carbon footprint of our buildings. At the end there, you can see the New York NYC Local Law 97, which on this following slide really helps us identify and kind of quantify what the market looks like for our products. The Urban Green Council did an analysis and they estimated that over the next 10 years, there's going to be a requirement of about $20 billion of investment for them to meet their carbon cap goals and their carbon emissions reduction goals for 50,000 buildings within the city. In order to do so, they anticipate there being about $2.2 billion deployed in the next 3 years. And then following that first compliance period in 2024, they anticipate the investment to explode to being about $18.2 billion, which really showcases how regulation is coming into the market and really driving transition and change to low carbon heating and cooling. The interesting thing about this is that one thing that's not being shown here is how are the cities actually going to mandate and regulate this? Well, New York City, for example, when we hit that 2024 mark, what they're looking at is saying, okay, well, you have a building in our city, you're going to have to file a energy carbon tax return, basically. Have an energy modeler come in, model out how much carbon emissions you have, and then based on the carbon caps, they're going to determine how much over or how much under you are. If you're under, you're not paying anything. If you're over it, they're estimating that the carbon tax is going to be $268 a metric ton, which is quite significant for any polluters. As my colleague Lynn Mueller said in the video there, we've been around for nearly 10 years, nearly a decade, perfecting our product and really spreading the gospel that is wastewater and the opportunities that it provides. We really see wastewater as a renewable resource, but it's not classified as one of the top, one of those big, the solar, wind, hydro, and whatever else there is out there from the top of my head. But what we're doing is we've been pioneering this industry and really showcasing what can be done. And who uses Sharc? Our solutions can be applied to multiple applications. You can see here that we have industrial settings, commercial buildings, and residential buildings that all can benefit from our products. At the bottom there, you'll notice the two products, Sharc on the left, Piranha on the right. And effectively, what the Sharc does is Sharc is a Canadian patented technology where we provide superior filtration for high volumes of wastewater for the purposes of recovering the energy or dumping energy back into. The Piranha system is a self-contained heat pump, and what it does is collects the wastewater that's exiting the building before it goes into the sewer and utilizes that to preheat or to heat your water up to 100% of its load.
20 seconds.
So just to quickly go through our slides here, here's some examples of our solutions and where we have implemented. We're in Denver at the National Western Center. We have one here locally at Falls Creek. DC Water headquarters recently showcased within the House Subcommittee for Water and Energy Development. And so this has got the interest of some political leaders within the U.S. I'd like to highlight our management team. We've got a great group. I enjoy going to work with these gentlemen every day. We have a very esteemed board of directors, very highly qualified from a diverse background that provide very good insight for us. Our market cap, we're sitting right just sub 50 million right now. We have about 90 million shares outstanding, and we're in the money on 100% of our warrants and convertible debt. So why invest in Sharc? There's billions of dollars of market opportunity. We're a sub $50 million market cap. Insiders have a lot of money invested in the game and ready to push this thing forward. And we have active engagement within our sales channels. Thank you. And I'll hand it back over to Mr. Barrington.
All right. Thank you. And thank you to our audience for joining us and staying with us on this journey. And now we do the Inquisition. This is where, companies are put to the test and they are asked a series of mind-bending and difficult questions. By whom, you are wondering? Well, none other than Mr. Brad Farquhar. He is the co-founder, executive, VP, and chief financial officer of Regina-based Input Capital Corp. Input is the world's first agricultural commodity streaming company and is publicly traded on the TSX Venture Exchange. He's also the executive in residence in Agribusiness at the University of Regina and on the advisory board of AgFunder. If you are wondering why he might sound familiar, he also appeared on the CSE program called Plant Proteins, available on CSE_TV at YouTube. You can also probably find him at www.thecse.com, and I'm sure that's not the only plug I'm going to do. Previously, Brad was a founder of Assiniboia Farmland Limited Partnership, and prior to that, he spent another 15 years as the senior political advisor at the federal and provincial level in Canada. Now, Brad, it is over to you. You're on mute.
Thanks a lot, Barrington, for that intro. And, I feel a bit like that character on The Simpsons. Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from such episodes, and it just made me laugh. So thanks for having me here today, and thank you to our presenters for their presentations. I want to start out with a question for all of you. As some of you know, there's a fair amount of private capital that's been entering the ag tech and green space lately, but this is a public company forum, and you've all chosen the public route. Why did you make that choice at this early stage, or relatively early stage in your businesses? So I'll just maybe go through as I can see on my screen. Colin, I'm a little bit familiar with your company. I know you haven't been public forever. And so why did you choose the public route over maybe some other alternatives?
Yeah, and Brad, good question. I would say when you look back to how our technology's developed over the years, our company was actually founded back in 2010, and a lot of money was put in a private way, and this technology was developed, researched, and put into the marketplace, and actually had sales. At the time, though, the company wasn't very successful and not very profitable. So there was a bit of a refinancing, and with the intention of a little bit more liquidity and getting a bit more exposure around the globe in the markets and being public. So hence why we did make that move and refinanced, went public, and now been moving on and I guess really driving things. But it was mainly around, we've been around since 2010. This technology has been researched and came from Agriculture Canada before, so it's really well known. And mustard seeds have been used for decades, centuries by farmers as cover crops. So it's something, it was just the right timing.
All right, thanks. Ashish, same question, and I was a shareholder in Bee Vectoring some years ago, and I think, if I remember correctly, I think you started out on the Venture Exchange, and here you're on the CSE now. Tell us a bit about that journey, and why you chose to be with the CSE. You may as well make a CSE plug here at the same time.
Yeah, really. So I think when a company is at its early growth stage and we're looking for capital, we're at a point, this was probably a discussion that we had with the board a little over a year ago, where we were getting into the commercial phase. We had completed our first regulatory approval. We wanted to go and launch in the US, but we also wanted to have the discussions about global expansion, our portfolio expansion, to bring more products into the mix. And what we found as we looked at, where we were with the TSX and with the opportunity to have the CSE, we just felt that there was more flexibility. We could move faster. When we had questions, we could get a quicker response for capital needs. We could make decisions in a more nimble way. And that's kind of some of the thinking that went behind making the transition. And we've been very, very pleased with the CSE because everything that we hoped we would get is, in fact, what we've been able to get out of it.
Terrific. Thanks. Hanspaul, I think you said your company is about 10 years old. How long have you been public, and why did you choose the go public route?
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, we've been around since 2010. I believe the year that we went public was 2015. Candidly, that was a little bit before my time. So I'm not, personally, I don't know the exact motivations, but what I believe is just the access to capital to continue to leverage and build the business. At that time, I believe we had about 6 to 10 implementations that were being demonstrated and we're showcasing what can be done. And it seemed at that time it was the best opportunity to leverage that awareness and that exposure and magnify it globally through the public markets and utilizing the CSE.
All right. And Keith, tell us a bit about your story with the CSE and being public. I don't know how long it's been.
It's been about 2 years, and much to Ashish's comment about the CSE versus the TSX, the choice for the CSE was really around resourcing and the speed at which business was going. TSX was resource constrained in terms of people at the time and capacity, and it was really and there's really been a great value in the CSE at the time. My history has been mostly private equity, and in the ag tech, a lot of it's been family office money, and that can be great as a source of capital, but I've also seen it be very tight in terms of its interest in sharing and growing the business, and so I thought for this business, given the needs for capital over the time, that a public vehicle would be a good way of supporting the pace of growth we wanted, and also without becoming beholden to one family or two family offices that might constrain our ability to actually act in the overall business interests.
Great, thank you. Keith, let's continue with you. I have a couple of questions about the business. We didn't have a lot of time to look at your slides, but I got a sense that you're using manure that comes from feedlots, and you're using that to produce fertilizer. Some might say it's already fertilizer. So tell us, what is it about your process that makes it into a better fertilizer?
Sure. So manure in its raw form, full of some nasties, coliforms, and all sorts of other things that you are limited in when you can apply it relative to the crop being harvested. So you need a stable product, and that's only one part of what we do. I mean, our product lineup, some of those products might be 30% that and 65% nutrients. It's all about nutrient density, right? The farmer has so many dollars per acre to invest every year in the crop they're growing, and they balance that against commodity price. So for us, it's about nutrient density and making sure that the balance of that pellet and that granule is full of soil builders as opposed to quote-unquote fillers, filler components. So for us, we choose to use this organic base. We also pull in elements from other composted materials, anything we can get that has the bioactivity that we want and helps form the granules in the way that we need for the market to make sure that we're delivering a good product that's nutrient dense to the farmer.
Your slide deck mentioned some pretty big names. One of them is across the street from me here in Regina, and others are pretty well known across the prairies. How do you distribute your products in that environment? How do you compete with that kind of distribution?
So with your neighbor across the street, if I've got your location right, we actually cooperate with them. So they need our products in their portfolio. The writing's on the wall about the use of conventional fertilizers. The movie Kiss the Ground, and maybe does a good job of dramatizing it, but you've got a problem there, and so they're all looking for solutions. So we're partnering with some folks that we'd all know here to build products that allow them to stay in the business they're in, which is new crop inputs, but allows them to play with credibility in the regenerative space. And their systems aren't meant for that. Their distribution. So we're delivering products through their channels, and we're building our platform. And ideally, one day their distribution is fantastic. We'll never be able to compete with that, but we can feed them products that their customers are asking for.
All right, thanks, Keith. Let's move over to Ashish. So my company's in the canola business, and a lot of our clients are really large-scale farmers. Some of them farm between 5,000 to 50,000 acres. And I saw your slide mention canola. But to what extent is it practical and effective in large-scale field crops? I understand how a smaller sort of berry operation fits in a tighter geography, and I'm just wondering, how do you target? If you put bees in a field, how do you make sure they're going after the right field and not after your neighbor's field? And or is this more applicable to the fruits, nuts, and berries kinds of crops where maybe there's a little bit more concentration of space, just given the scale that prairie agriculture takes on? I'm curious how this might work.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably about three or four questions.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. That's okay. I want to talk maybe just canola quickly. So, we have demonstrated, and, in the United States where we've got the registration, a parallel crop is sunflowers, right? So it's an oil crop, similar diseases, but, we can do a lot more R&D work because the product's registered. So we've demonstrated that we can control a disease called sclerotinia, for which there's actually very few chemical solutions, and it's a function of the way the disease progresses across the plant. But biologicals have been shown to be, in ours in particular, very good substitutes, or actually, the only solution, the only game in town. So we've got a very good biological control agent, and we believe that's true for canola also, because the same kind of pathogen is present there. So then it comes down to how many bees or how many hives do you need to effectively control a field? So we're doing a lot of work to show what that would be. Is it one hive per acre, one hive every 2 or 3 acres? Because the more you can spread out, the less hives you could use. The economics start changing dramatically, right? Because the biggest cost is the cost of the bees. We've actually demonstrated that in sunflowers, we are at a point of economic benefit that we can still give the grower a 3 to 4 times return on investment. And in the coming years, we'll replicate that work in canola north of the border, if you will. So going back to, is this a broad acre crop type of an opportunity, or is it really a fruit and vegetable? So I think the answer will largely depend on that stocking density for the beehives. I mean, certainly for the initial market, berries, tree crops, almonds, these are high value crops. It clearly is producing a 10 to 12 to even 15 times return on investment for the farmer. We believe that a broad acre crop, sunflowers and canola, if we can get to a 3 to 4 times return on investment, we have a very exciting, viable business, and we're there in sunflowers already.
All right, great. So what kind of uptake are you getting from prospective clients? Farmers on the one hand can be skeptical and conservative. On the other hand, a lot of them are really willing to try new things. So how has the uptake been so far?
Yeah, it's been great. So we're actually building our sales organization. So we started off in the Southeast U.S. and we zeroed in on our launch market being the blueberry market in Georgia. And what we've seen now, we're in our we just completed the third full year of sales in the Georgia market. And we've gone from a couple of growers all the way to 24 growers who used our system this year. And what's exciting as we compare, 2021 versus what we accomplished in 2020, we had 100% retention from the growers that bought last year, and we double our customer base. So we're getting to a point where through word of mouth within the community, growers are talking about the BVT system. So it makes, of course, that's the best way. Referral is the best way to grow your business, of course, because you've got a very excited customer that's speaking about the benefits of your technology. So we're in that full expansion phase in Georgia, and we're at the earlier stages in the Pacific Northwest and Michigan, but we expect similar growth in the years to come.
Great, thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. How's our clock?
You have 5 minutes, but I just want to let you know and our audience know that you will be able to continue discussions in the lounge afterwards. So, Brad, 5 minutes,
okay, and
you'll see me then.
Sounds good. I'm going to stick with ag and go to Colin. Colin, just help me understand, is what your company does, are you creating the ingredients that would go into something that's applied, that goes, it's mixed and applied by someone else, or are you creating a final product that, a farmer can basically buy from you and use in that in-field application? I'm not really clear on where you are there, because I know some companies will make active ingredients and sell them on into a supply chain, and is it your goal to be directly selling to producers or into distribution with a final product?
Yeah, and Brad, so we do create a final product to date, but that doesn't preclude us from working with others on potentially giving them access to how and the actual active ingredients that we extract. So within the mustard, we do extract glucosinolates, different glucosinolates, as well as different enzyme to really bring together and create the actives and the molecules that are in this in the system. So to date, we are progressing and moving forward with our registrations across in the U.S. right now with the EPA with our new formulation. We are also looking and doing this in other parts of the world, Canada, South America, and looking around the world. But our go-to-market model is specifically looking at how do we do through and utilizing current distribution models that we have experience with, or looking at partnership models. And Ashish said it very well in his presentation about how long it takes for a farmer to build up and get credibility and understand the technology. And I look at my own farm, it's always about a 3-year cycle. I do think there's some opportunities for us in our organic systems, really accelerating that. But we will look at different distribution models. We are looking at different partnership models and continue to do that. So.
All right, thanks. And I know the clock is running out, so I'm going to go over to Hanspaul. And Hanspaul, just help us understand, like, there's probably an engineering or science answer to this, but I think you basically said that you can capture the heat from my shower and heat up my next shower. How in the world does that work? Tell us a bit more about that. Because that just seems counterintuitive to the average person.
Yeah, no, definitely. And candidly, I'm not technical or an engineer either, so I'll do my best to do it in layman's terms. But, I've had some great teachers to teach me what's going on. So with our system, effectively what we're doing, we're able to filter, our Sharc system is able to filter high volumes of wastewater. Those are typical in district energy solutions, which, it's more prevalent in Europe, and it's only now in its infancy in North America is these district energy type of systems. And what we're able to do is we filter wastewater in high volumes of it. The Falls Creek neighborhood energy utility that I quickly highlighted in my presentation, they are filtering wastewater that's coming out of downtown Vancouver, and before it goes out to the sewage treatment plant, what they're doing is they're using our systems to filter that high volume of wastewater and then run it through. So we filter it, run it through a heat exchanger where the particulate's fine enough that the heat exchanger doesn't clog up and doesn't create any significant challenges for the system as a whole. And that energy is then magnified by a heat pump and shot out throughout Olympic Village here. It heats the Olympic Village that was built for the 2010 games there. And so that is our Sharc system. Now our Piranha system, what it does is we capture the wastewater before it goes out. And effectively, it's no different than a water source heat pump or a water heat pump. What we're doing is we're taking that wastewater flow, we're pumping it through our system, and we're able to do that at phenomenal efficiencies. We recover the energy, we compress it, turn it into a gas, compress that. Through that compression process, it really generates increased heat within what's been recovered, and then it's magnified through a smaller heat pump, and that's what gets us up to that 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit of warm water, and we do that at phenomenal efficiency. So that system, in a multifamily residential building, we're looking at a 350% efficiency on average, and in layman's terms, for every $1 of electricity we're putting in, we're getting out about $3.50 worth of electricity. So those efficiencies are what are helping really promote the transition from cheap natural gas boilers, and doing it before the carbon tax starts pricing us to be forced to do it, I guess you can say.
Right. Very interesting. It just seems so. So, do you think maybe this is not a fair question for the CFO, but I live in Saskatchewan where it's -40 a lot. Can it work in those kinds of conditions too, or is this? I know you're in a gentler climate there.
Yeah. No, we definitely can. We don't need to take out too much. Like, I guess your wastewater flow, it's in theory, it's always going to be somewhere. And the wastewater flow here in Vancouver, it's about 13 degrees to 17 degrees C, we'll say, that comes through by the time it gets there. And all that water's been heated and it'll run through the system. Even if the temperatures, has dropped, we are still able to take a few degrees out and through our process amplify that and create that offset that's required. So it is feasible there. There obviously are things that need to be factored in, but we would be able to take care of that. And I think no better installation will probably showcase that as the one that we're doing here in Denver that's moving forward in the near future.
Great. Well, hopefully we can talk some more about it in the after show or whatever we call it here.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Barrington, I think that probably puts us pretty much at the end of the clock, so I'll turn it back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Brad. And this is the end of the official clock, but please make sure you visit the lounge. There will be a number of tables. I think there's like 6 or 7 tables. Click on a table. Our presenters, just grab a table, sit there, and our audience can join you, and you can continue these discussions. So please, I encourage you, just because the formal part ends doesn't mean the discussions and the ideas and the sharing of knowledge has to stop. So I want to thank our presenters, Keith Driver, CEO at EarthRenew, Ashish Malik, President and CEO of B Vectoring, Colin Bletsky, COO of MustGrow Biologics Corp, and Hanspaul Pannu, CFO, Sharc International Systems, with our guest moderator, Brad Farquhar, CFO of Input Capital. May you have continued success in expanding your business. If you got here late and would like to catch this on the replay, please visit www.thecse.com, or you can find us on YouTube at our channel, CSE_TV, for this type of content and much, much more. If you're looking for what is on the horizon, we have the Cannabis Investor Series, which is kicked off officially on 4/20, but we will be launching May 3rd. So it's 4 weeks of great content. Thank you to our attendees for your time today. Go to the company's websites and learn more about these companies. If you have a lead for them, do connect. Before you do that, make sure you talk to them in the lounge. And with that, I am going to bid everyone adieu. Happy Earth Day, April 22nd. Everyone continue to be safe, and we will see you in the lounge.